there's no 21-point play in football. So you knew it was going to have to be chip away at it one drive at a time. And we just kind of kept our eyes focused on that next drive, that next play. Defense went out, B-Bell, Jason, they were making plays, started stopping the Wisconsin run. There's that play where B-Bell is jumping over the blocker and knocking it out of the quarterback's hand.
That one, man, legendary.
And you started to feel that shift, and once that momentum shifted, the team we were, we just grasped it and we let it roll.
College football tees, college basketball tees, whatever you need, Mercury has you covered with the best merch out there. We're talking about high quality clothing, inexpensive, and the best part is I have a 15% discount for everybody who goes and gets some right now. Use the code below, hit the link in the description, and go get your merch now. Use the code to get 15% off. What are you waiting on? Go do it.
First of all, appreciate everybody who stuck around for this extra panel. We've got 4 Penn State football legends in the house. We're going to ask some questions. We got to go to practice on Thursday. We got to sit there and talk to a lot of the coaches, the players, and feel the vibe of the team. So let's get right into it. We'll start offensively with you, Hack. We got to talk to Coach K. We got to hear a little bit more about his philosophies and his plans going into this season. What was the overall vibe and the feel after your conversation with him?
Yeah, Chris and I got to talk to him. I don't want to let too much out of the bag. We're going to be dropping some more content during that interview, but I really appreciate the fact that you guys heard when he's talking about when he's had media access. He's a teacher first, man. I'm a firm believer in to be a successful football coach. You have to be a fantastic teacher. You have to be able to motivate the team. You can tell that he has the right energy. He has the right focus. He knows what he's doing. He's confident in his stuff. So obviously there's no magic button with implementation, and that's why sling ball is so important, is getting acclimated to the new terminology, the philosophies that he has, the foundations of his offense. But I'm really excited to see how it progresses. Today's obviously a accumulation of the spring work, but how it progresses to training camp, and then ultimately how it progresses through the season. Because again, it's not going to be an instant switch, but the familiarity and ability to get rest with his personnel, be able to put them in unique situations. And he kind of touched on it. He's like, I got a lot of toys. So I'm really curious to see how he puts these guys in positions to be successful.
And Trace, let me ask you, since you're getting the microphone now, a buzzword in the offseason has been explosion. Everybody wants the offense to be more explosive than it was last year. Tons of talent still in the building. What does it take for an offense to go from being efficient to also being explosive as well?
So I think part of it obviously will be what Coach K can bring, and he kind of talked about it, the creativity he has with really diving into what they have personnel-wise and being very multiple, being in 11, 12, 13 personnel. I mean, you've talked to a couple people, like they're trying to utilize and get the best 11 on the field at one time and really force the defense to be in uncomfortable situations. And I really think that's one of the things that will really help them become more explosive. And then, even the couple practices that I've been at, you can see the mentality in that quarterback room is efficiency and, playing within the system and playing within, within themselves. But at the same time, when those opportunities are there to push it down the field and give the playmakers on the outside those opportunities, that's what they've been doing. So I really think it's a little bit of, it goes hand in hand with the personnel that they have and being able to, those quarterbacks' mentality. Like when I was there, I probably went a little too far with it at times. But, Drew and Beau, they understand the time and place to make those shots, and you've seen them pushing it down the field a little bit in practice.
We'll switch to the defensive side of the ball here. We got to chat with Tom Allen. He's your quintessential culture guy in that defensive room. We played for Brent Pry. We saw what Manny Diaz was able to accomplish. After the conversation with Tom Allen, Jason, how do you feel about the direction that the defense is heading into?
I mean, I absolutely love the conversation I had with Coach Allen. And even when I spoke to the players, the surrounding talk around Coach Allen that every single player had mentioned was just how meticulous he was about the details and how he installs the defense, how he talks about the scheme. And I think a lot of coaches don't always get the players to understand the why behind why we're doing certain things. And I think as a player, that's so valuable for players to understand why we're doing things and to get guys to buy in the way you need them to buy into a scheme. And I think that's one of the things this spring I feel like he's done a really good job of, is making the players understand the why and then also making sure they understand the details behind the defense. So I'm really excited about Coach Allen.
That's what the great coaches do. They find a way to get guys to understand the why and understand why they're actually doing the things that they're being asked to do. Brandon, the linebacker room loses Curtis Jacobs to the NFL draft. obviously a big leader in that room. When you look at the linebacker unit, who are a couple of the young guys that you're excited about? I know everybody here has read articles on Tony Rojas and what he's been able to do. So what's your take on that room now?
Yeah, I mean, starting with Tony, I mean, he looks the part. The kid looks good. Number 13, I said it before on the Pocket Podcast, his favorite player is Fred Warner. He kind of has a similar build. I'll just say that. Has, ways to go to get there, but I'm looking forward to see his progress. Everyone keeps talking about him. And then Keon Wiley, Philly kid, I'm excited to see what he brings. As Jason said earlier, the competition is high in this room. So these guys are battling for snaps. I'm not sure if we'll see, a constant starter. There may be guys rotating, which I wasn't really a fan of as a player. But I understand it. There's a lot of talent. Everyone has to see the field. So those are probably the first two. Got Kobe King coming back. He seems to be the guy that's going to run the show. Dom DeLuca, I'm looking forward to seeing him make a lot more plays. He's been grinding and get on the field more and more. And as we've seen, he's produced when he's on the field.
Yeah, and I think the best thing about that room right now when you look at it is even whoever ends up being in backup roles, it really seems like those players are starter caliber players. And that's kind of what you want to see out of your depth.
Yeah, the depth that Penn State football has right now, at least since I've been around in 2018, is better than it's ever been. At every position across the board, there's a true 2 to 3 deep of people that you can rely on to go win you some games. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask 3 of you this. You guys were all a part of the Big Ten championship. I remember being 16 years old, being on my couch, falling asleep when you guys were down 28-7.
Don't make us feel old like
waking up. Waking up, and you guys have tied the ball game. So, Trace, we'll start with you. Down 28-7, what was the mindset? What was the approach that the offense had to fight back into that game and ultimately win?
Yeah, down 28-7, I think this was kind of the mentality of our team at that point was, we were a second half team. So there was never a panic button that got pressed. I remember, we're down 28-7, still first half, and I walked up and down the sideline, trying to be like, all right, well, I got to get guys going. They were already up. Yeah. Like, there was no panic. There was no, you could potentially see guys get down like, damn, this is the big game. This is our chance and we're blowing it. There was never any of that. It was a confidence that we had on that team. And then, from the offensive mentality was, there's no 21-point play in football. So you knew it was going to have to be chip away at it one drive at a time. And we just kind of kept our eyes focused on that next drive, that next play. Defense went out, B-Bell, Jason, they were making plays, started stopping the Wisconsin run. There's that play where B-Bell is jumping over the blocker and knocking it out of the quarterback's hand.
That one, man. Legendary.
And you started to feel that shift. And once that momentum shifted, the team we were, we just grasped it and we let it roll. Yeah. The post one? Yeah. It was one of those that I could see the safety beelining back to get him. And I had a little bit of pressure in my face. So it was one of those that, trust the guys that we had downfield that laid it up to him and let him go make the play. And you could, like I said, I could see the safety kind of running back at an angle. And Saeed even set his angle a little bit flat across the field. Yeah, so.
Boy had 200 yards, man.
Yeah, crazy.
I saw him going high out.
I'll add some color. I think it's one of those things that, you gave your guy a chance.
Yeah.
You knew he understood if
it was
in a general vicinity, the body control, and you gave this guy a chance.
Yeah. It was going to be I didn't purposely underthrow. I put everything I had into that throw. But it was one of those that, like you said, give the guy a chance, knew that it was probably going to be a jump ball type situation. And then Saeed made, with his body control and what he was able to do, he made that last second adjustment to catch it, be able to cut under the safety and go.
I wanna shift gears here a little bit. There's a kid playing today in Beaver Stadium that's made a position change. He's going from linebacker to defensive end. He wears number 11. He's got all the talent in the world.
Sticks!
Jason, you have gone through your own positional changes. Speak to some of the challenges that may entail and what we should expect for Abdul Carter today.
And this segment's brought to you by Family Clothesline. They kept us looking sharp all weekend. I'm currently wearing one of the Lulu Polos. It's a Family Clothesline exclusive. Make sure you guys check out Family Clothesline for all of your Penn State apparel needs.
Yeah, I mean, luckily Abdul's not switching sides of the ball like I've had to do. But, going from a stand-up, off-the-ball linebacker to kind of being on the ball, more playing that defensive end type of position, Now, I expect a lot of the pass rush stuff to come to Abdul very naturally. Even as a blitzing linebacker, he was always very good blitzing running backs. So I see him, using his hands well, being natural in his moves and stuff. We talked to Coach Barnes about him. Coach Barnes kind of echoed that same sentiment and told him, I don't even have to overcoach this guy too much. The pass rush comes to him naturally. I think what's going to have to come with reps is kind of defending the run game, working the hands, shedding blocks from that standpoint, always dealing with tackles who are typically the bigger of the offensive linemen in general. But from that standpoint, man, I really expect Abdul to make a big splash at the end.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the staff learned from Micah Parsons going to the NFL and moving to the end, but they're not making the same mistake twice with Abdul Carter, it seems like. I want to ask you, B-Bell, a lot of transfers. I think the spring ball is a great opportunity to see young guys get more reps in a game-like environment. Obviously, with the portal, we brought guys in new to the team. Are there any of those young guys or transfers that you're excited to watch for the first time today?
And we talked with Coach Terry Smith, Jason and I, and not a transfer, but the young cornerback, number 29, Collins. Team's been making his mark in the spring game, really, locking down guys in coverage, and that's the guys we look for to put out there against these elite receivers that we're going to play against this season. So I'm looking forward to see what he brings to this team this year. We got the 2 transfer corners from the SEC, Georgia, Florida. Those guys look good as well. I'm really just looking for a crisp, clean operation, defensively, offensively. I don't think we're going to show too much out there, so don't expect too much. Pretty vanilla, but I'm looking forward to the defense for sure.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And Hack, let me get to you. Drew Allar has had a lot of success at Penn State already as a young player. Still a lot of room to continue to improve, and people are going to expect so much from this guy who was such a big recruit and has had so much promise throughout his career. When you watch Drew's game, what are some areas in which he can continue to get better heading into year 3?
Yeah, I've said this. I think Drew's done a fantastic job distributing football in those shorter to intermediate in its passing concepts. Obviously, similar to what that question was just asked about Trace, giving guys chances down the field, being confident in giving guys chances with the understanding that sometimes the defense is going to make a play, whether that results in an interception or a pass breakup or something. You have to be all right to live with that. You got to understand, and that's part of it. It's going to be it. So I think from a game perspective, playing and physical attributes, that's kind of the strive I want to see with him. Being more comfortable with giving guys chances down the field. And I think it's going to ultimately help the whole offense. Now, I think the biggest strides from Drew, and we've talked about this at length, with him on the side, playing golf, I think the biggest strides for Drew is going to be more mentally and really stepping into that role as not only the leader of the offense, but the leader of the entire football team, and how his play at specific points of time can not only motivate and elevate the play of the offensive side of the ball, but transversely on the defensive side of the ball as well. And I think you guys can add some color to that, playing with both Trace and myself. There was points where we picked something up, made a play, that motivated you guys, and that helped the whole process. The beauty of football being the ultimate team sport, the best team sport ever created, is that momentum factor. The quarterback has a massive part in being able to dictate that. So for Drew, I think that's the biggest step for him.
If I could add into that, like you said, coming into the defensive side, you see 14 or 9 come after a big play. Let's effing go, whatever it may be. You feel that energy from the leader of the team, and it only instills into the rest of the guys that maybe is a lull part of a game where we should be up 21, but hey, it's 7-7. That little spark can go a long way. I talk about it all the time. Confidence in young players can take you very far in life, especially in a short college football season.
There's been a lot of talk about Beau Pribula getting more involved this year. He's earned the right to be on the field. He's a great player. He has the respect of all of his teammates. Trace, I want to ask you 2 things. Number 1, the kid wears number 9. He's an athlete like you were. People have drawn comparisons to him, from you to him. How realistic is it that 2 quarterbacks are going to be able to play? What is that experience going to look like? You were here. You had Tommy Stevens battling too, playing some snaps. What's that experience like?
Yeah, so to touch on how much we look alike, it almost is a little scary. Every time he goes into the game, my friends from home, they hit me up. They're like, yo, why is Trace back in college? Like, what's going on?
Trying to get that NIL money.
Give it to me, I'll be back. But yeah, so I do think, like you said, he's been able to earn that respect. He's earned that opportunity. And I do think it's a little bit of a delicate balance, right? Like, there's not everywhere in the country that you could potentially talk about having two quarterbacks on the field at the same time. But one with the relationship that Drew and Beau share, and being in the room together, you know, we were kind of touched on with these guys, like they room together before a game, similar to how me and Hack did. Like that type of relationship that they have, I think they're built and set up to where they understand that their goals are to make this team better, to bring this team to the heights that it can be, to be a championship level team. And they're both ready to sacrifice whatever needs to be done to bring this team to that standard. And I think, you know, the coaches have done a great job, and Coach K has talked about it, you know, being able to utilize the best 11 on the field in whatever way possible. The two of them on the field at the same time, or having one in, one out, whatever it might be. You know, I think that's that creativity from the coaches' perspective that they've talked about and they want to be able to do. They want the best guys on the field, and the two of them with their relationship that they have, I do think they can be able to utilize both of them in ways that everywhere else it might be a little delicate. You have to treat it, you know, with a little sensitivity. Here, I think the two of them are able to have that camaraderie together to put the team before self.
This is a little sidebar here, not really related, but I thought of it as you were talking. So I didn't play with any of these guys except for Trace. My freshman year was his last season at Penn State. At this point, he's a bona fide legend of Penn State football. I'm an 18-year-old kid. I'm on the scout team. It's the first practice of the fall, and I get meleeed. I get bullied into Trace. You're not supposed to touch the quarterback. I get thrown into him on day one by Connor McGovern and Ryan Bates. Trace takes he spins around. He's pissed. Before I can even turn around and look up, Franklin is in a full-blown sprint at me, cussing me out for hitting the quarterback on day one. That just came back to my memory as you were talking. Hack, I want to ask you about another transfer guy. There's been some speculation about Keandre and what's going to happen there. Julian Fleming obviously comes in the portal. How important is it to the offense that Julian Fleming finds a way to step up and get involved?
Well, I think it's massively important. I think it's a kid who's coming from a program and really a receiving room that has had elite talent and expectations. So looking back at our year in our room, I've said this over and over again. We've hit on this, B&I with the pocket throughout the season. I truly believe when you look at our room, there's not a lack of talent. I think a lot of it has to do with confidence. That position is such confidence-driven. It's just like QBs. You get in your head, you be the most talented guy in the world. Really, any position. You get in your head, period. You be the most talented guy in the world. It's going to inhibit you in a lot of ways to really go out and make plays. So I think Julian's ability to come in, not only be impacted by the way that he carries himself, the way he handles his business on the field, but also how he started pulling the best out of the rest of those guys in that room, because it is talented. It's a deep room. They have bodies. You roll those guys out there in shorts and t-shirts. You're picking those guys a lot of times, you guys that you're trying to throw the football to. So I really hope that he can come in and make an impact from that perspective, because that's still one division. I mean, it's just those guys that have ability where it's 3rd and 6, and someone who's ready to play. When it lines up, he's looking at Drew like, give me the football. Yeah. And I think that's a big step that he needs to take, and I'm hoping that his experience will bring that level of expectation.
No doubt about it. The last thing I want to ask about, obviously there are two really talented running backs on this roster right now in Singleton and Katron Allen. I want to ask you guys as linebackers who have also battled against elite running backs, just how taxing is it defensively to have to play after play line up and find a way to stop two guys like that?
I'll kick it off. I mean, really just meeting these two guys up close and personal this past week. They're pretty solid, bigger guys than I really thought they were. So that's taxing. If we can, which we've done, establish a tough running game to lower your shoulders on those guys, 2-3 plays in a row, whether it's Katron or Nick. I mean, we know Nick has a little more explosion, but he's a big dude, a bigger running back than I thought. So it's definitely, when it's cold, kind of like playoff football type of weather, that's a conscious decision for especially DBs. Linebackers were built for it, but it's definitely a task that you have to mentally be prepared to tackle those two guys.
Yeah, I think as a defense, it could be super demoralizing, man, when even if they're only breaking off 4 or 5 yards at a time. Like, that's still too much for a defense. As a linebacker, we're expecting 1 yard, 0 yard, or TFL, tackles for loss. So when these guys at 3rd and 3, they get the first down. 3rd and 4, they get the first down. That can be very demoralizing for a defense and really wears the defense down in general. So I love the way K-Tron runs the ball. He's always getting extra yards after contact, things of that nature. And obviously Nick Singleton being that home run guy and somebody who can be scary in open space. So I'm excited about those two.
And Jay, the fact that they are rotating fresh legs.
That's what I was thinking.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No doubt. Well, we're going to wrap it up. Go ahead, B-Ball.
I'll say both getting better out of the backfield too, as you guys know, a second, third, fourth option, chuck it down, just let them go to work in the flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, appreciate all you guys' time. Thank you guys for sticking around with us. Enjoy the game today. Football's around the corner, baby.